Are you still waiting on your refund? Well, you're not the only one. Hi, I'm Elena of Financialdemics, where I give you the tips and tools to manage your money, increase your savings and your income, and decrease your debt. And today's a little different from my regular videos. I actually wanted to step in and talk about the delays the IRS is having with processing tax returns and issuing refunds. First of all, I want to say I am a tax professional, but I am not your tax professional. So if you do get your taxes professionally prepared, definitely go and check in with your tax provider if you have additional questions. Also, I do not work for the IRS in any sort of way. This is information that I pulled from their actual website that is available to the public if you do have questions about where they stand with processing returns. Okay, so let's get into it. So the Taxpayer Advocate back in the end of April actually came out and stated that the IRS was behind on processing tax returns. They had about 29 million tax returns that needed to be processed manually, and they have been working through it. They have definitely put a dent in that number, but you have to understand that it does take time. If you think about how many people are in this country, and then in addition, this has not been a regular year. So for a lot of people who are, just being inconsiderate of where they actually stand and how they're actually getting things done, I want to provide you with some insight that was available on their website. So as of May 28th, they had about 18 million tax returns that were unprocessed that were in their pipeline. Due to the long season last year, taxes were not due until July, which actually, if you think about it, it takes up a lot of times when you extend the tax season past 3 months. As a tax professional, I can tell you last year was not normal with having that extended season. And then for this year, we also had a late start in the season, and it was also extended. And so with that caused some hiccups along the way. What you have to understand with everything that's going on with the panorama and all of that, certain security measures that they have in place had to be worked around in order to process tax returns. So even though we think they should be back to normal, it doesn't always work like that, especially when you're not on the inside. And granted, I'm not on the inside, but what I do know is that, when you are working in a building, and I've had plenty of friends who work for other businesses and they were in the building, if there is some type of outbreak or anything that's going on, that will change how you move within the building and whether or not you're fully staffed and things like that. So even though I'm not saying that was their issue, I just want you to keep that in mind, because I've definitely been hearing complaints and people are just acting like this is regular 2019, and we definitely know that if you probably wasn't in your building working normally, or you had certain protocols in place, that they had to have certain protocols in place also. So the next thing to take into consideration is that there were a lot of things put in place to benefit the American people when it comes to their 2020 tax returns. And so there were changes in some of the tax laws that put a little bit more work on the IRS. First thing is stimulus payments. Now, I know everybody who received a stimulus payment enjoyed it, but in order to take care of the people who may not have received their stimulus payments, maybe due to not filing their tax returns for 2018 or 2019, the way that they compensated for that was to give you that money when you actually have filed your return for 2020. In order to do that, you actually had to report how much you received for the first 2 stimulus payments, and that was called the Recovery Rebate Credit. Well, with the Recovery Rebate Credit, if you did not put in the correct amount that you received for your stimulus payments, then that would knock your return to manual, because it didn't match up with what was in their actual system. And so now they have to manually review your numbers and recalculate what your refund may be or maybe what it's not, and make sure that those numbers are correct before they actually process your return. And for those of y'all that say, like, well, how people don't know what they receive, sometimes there is a little bit of confusion. I mean, a lot happened last year. So, sometimes you don't exactly remember that number. Because so many people were on unemployment in 2020 due to the panorama, they also allowed for taxpayers to use their adjusted gross income from 2019 to receive earned income credit and the additional child tax credit. And that is because unemployment income is not considered earned income, and you only receive those two credits based off the earned income you receive for the year. So in order not to punish the American public because of what happened, they allowed you to use your adjusted gross income from 2019 to verify whether or not you qualified for earned income credit and the additional child tax credit. Now, for some people, if the number was off, then there's another reason why you would have your tax return held up in any type of way. And so now you may be in that group that is considered manual. And I should also mention too, if you had to mail in your return for any reason, then you're definitely probably caught up in the backlog. And since I already mentioned unemployment, we might as well talk about how in March of 2021, they implemented a change that affects tax year 2020 when it comes to unemployment. So before March, all of the income that you receive on unemployment was taxable. But in the beginning of March, they actually implemented that the first $10,200 of your unemployment income was non-taxable, which is great for those who are on unemployment. Don't get me wrong. The problem is when you make changes in the middle of tax season, it becomes a problem. So for everyone who had unemployment income on their actual return and they had not received their refund yet, automatically their return became manual because the IRS decided that instead of having everybody amend their tax returns, they are going to make the adjustments themselves. So anyone who kind of got caught up near the middle where you had already submitted your tax return and it had not been processed yet, your tax return got put on hold. I'm gonna say on hold, but it's basically manual because they have to make an adjustment for the fact that you are not taxed on $10,200 of your unemployment income. And so now they're going through and they are making those adjustments also. And I will say, the congressmen who put this out there did it before tax season. It's just however they prioritize stuff in Congress, it took too long for them to handle that. So that is another reason why taxes are being held up, because they definitely have to make adjustments for the people who came before that change and make sure that they receive the correct amount back as far as refunds or adjust what they owe. And if I wasn't really clear earlier about the stimulus payments, they had to split resources for the stimulus payments. So the people who are processing your tax returns, they're also the people who answer the phone. They also had to take people to handle stimulus payments. So, and then I don't know if you all remember hearing this, but I do know that their resources are not the same. Like, they definitely had budget cuts. And I'm not talking about last year because I don't know for sure, because like I said, last year was a blur for everyone. But I do know before that they definitely had budget cuts. And so they don't have the same amount of people out there working on your returns. So they have been, doing the best they can with the resources they actually have. And then lastly, we know that fraud and identity theft has been on the rise. And so if there is anything that catches the IRS's attention and they suspect any type of fraud or identity theft, then they will definitely be looking at your return manually. I don't know what the criteria is, but I do know that that is one of the things that they mentioned on their website in regards to why a return could possibly be processed manually. I will definitely link that page to the IRS's website below. If your tax return has not been processed yet and it's been a while since you have submitted it, please know that the IRS does try to process returns that are in good order within 21 business days. You can always check out their website and check out the Where's My Refund tool, which I'll also link below, to check on the status of your return. In order to do that, you will need your social security number. You will also need your filing status, so single, head of household, married filing jointly, married filing separately, and you would need the amount of your refund. The tool is updated nightly, so if you check one day, then don't check again until the next day because there's not going to be any change. In the comments below, let me know, was your tax return process in the normal 21 business day time frame, or are you one of the people who are currently waiting on your return to be processed? And again, I've been asked this. You could try to call them, but truthfully, remember I said they are the people who answer the phone and process your return, and they're processing stimulus payments. I know the wait times are very long, and I'm not sure if they're actually, able to answer the phones and do everything at the same time, but you could try. I'm not saying not to try, but, just to heed the warning, okay? So if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button so it can get out to more people and they can have an understanding of what is possibly going on with the processing of their return. And if you're not subscribed, because I notice most of you who watch are not, go ahead and hit the subscribe button because you're watching. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you next time with an all new video.